Funky beat, man. Funky beat. He told me it was Grammatics, I think he said. Brent told us, funky beat. Listen to that organ. It's a Hammond B3, I think, right?
Yeah, more than likely.
More than likely. Thank you, Brett.
I can't name another organ.
Yeah, that was a Randyism.
The good thing about Randyisms when they're over.
They're over. That's going to be throughout the show this morning.
After the 90 days, when it's all over?
It's over. When Shannon comes on here at 9, it's over.
Hey, both of us are number one.
Right. Oh, man, we're talking about the Supreme Court. Oh, man, when the Supreme Court finishes hearing this case that Killer Mike and Meek Mill filed an amicus brief for a rapper by the name of Mayhem Mal, it's going to be over. But, oh, man, I love doing this. I'm going to miss this so much, man. I really am. I really am. I'm going to miss you guys so much. Oh, man, this is hilarious. So we're talking about that. We're talking about the Democrats and their racism. It took them a week, literally a week, a whole week to reject hate. And then, in order to make a point, many people were out there trying to say, well, 23 Republicans voted against hate. Please remember that during the election time. Really? Are you serious? They didn't vote against hate. When Steve King made his comments on white supremacy, which were despicable, but I think you can really weed through what he was saying, right? He wasn't defending it, right? It was, and he didn't say white supremacy. He said white nationalism. That's what he said, right? And so I'm not defending it. I thought it can be taken the same way Ilhan Omar made her comments. It was bad comments, right? Bad comment. Now, you can explain it any way you want to. You can split hairs on any way you want to. He said something. It was wrong. The Republicans wrote a resolution with his name in it saying, hey, this is not right. Bam, bam, bam. Took him off of committees. This Elon woman says some despicable things, and they start to backtrack. First, they said, she's stupid. This is the first thing they said. Oh, she's just Miss Omar. She just doesn't know what she's talking about. Nancy Pelosi said this. She doesn't understand the power of her words. That means you're stupid. If you're elected to Congress and the person at the head of your party in Congress says that admits that you have no idea of the power of your words and you don't really know what you're talking about, she's calling you stupid. That's what Nancy Pelosi said about this woman, Omar. So they take a week to put a resolution out there, which is not binding, it's not law. We already have laws against hatred. But they take a week to put out, and it points out why the Democrats are in such trouble. Now, that being said, I want the Republican Party to listen to me very, very closely. And I also want African-American conservatives and Republicans to listen to me very, very closely. I'm Facebooking Live it. I'm going to put it on a YouTube page. I need you to tell everybody what I'm about to say, or show everybody what I'm about to say. The Democrats are in trouble right now. They're divided generationally. They're not divided on policy. They all believe the same thing, but they're divided generationally. When Jim Clyburn defends Ilhan Omar with words to the effect that, well, your parents went through the Holocaust, so it doesn't affect you. She actually was a refugee in Kenya from after fleeing from Somalia. When they say those kinds of things, they have bought into the narrative that they themselves have fought against for years, saying that they were better than the Republicans. When Jim Clyburn says that, because someone's going to go back to Jim Clyburn and they're going to say, well, Jim, that means that we don't need reparations because you were never a slave. Nor does anybody living today was a slave. So no one should get reparations. That's what's going to be the argument, because Jim Clyburn doubled down on the defense of Ilhan Omar. But the bigger issue is this. If you're an African-American conservative or Republican, we are in the best position we could ever have been in the history of this country. We're in the best position to take advantage of what's going on in this country politically. What that means is you no longer have to, as an African-American conservative or Republican, take pennies on the dollar for consulting gigs. You no longer, as an African American conservative, need to go in and say, I just want to do the black stuff. As an African American conservative right now in this country, we're in the best position to move the Republican Party forward. You know why? Because we're in the best negotiating position ever. You know why? Because they need us now for the first time in their entire lives as a political party. The Republican Party absolutely, positively needs the African American conservative. And I'm not talking as some black face to go after black votes. I'm talking as a viable expert on turning out votes. No longer can you continue to go towards the same old consultants to get the same old results, because you're talking to a different electorate. You're talking to a group of people who it took a week to pass a resolution to talk against hate. You're talking to voters and you're telling them that. Right now, the black Republican, the black conservative who works in politics is best poised to move this party forward, is best poised to win congressional elections and Senate elections across the country. And you don't have to, if you're a black conservative or a black Republican, you don't have to say you can bring in black votes. You can bring in any votes, but you better be at the table, because they need us more than they ever have before. Because the world, the country is changing. And if you're not changing with the country, you can continue to sit there in your county party electorates and your county party meetings with the 15 or 20 retirees sitting around talking about what's happened to this country. Or you could turn over the hands of power into the people who are going to make up the majority of this country in the next 30 to 40 years. It's up to you what you do. Because the black conservative, the black Republican, can easily sit out a race or two unless you put us in charge and give us the hands of power within the Republican Party. No more, I can get you black votes. No, I can win you elections across the board. It's the Shelley Winter Show on the New Talk 106.7. It's time to go to the Haviland Express Loop Traffic Center with Matthew Dorr.